The acquisition of a resistance to antibiotics by bacteria is often linked to genetic changes and inheritance, which allow bacteria to survive exposure to antibiotics that would otherwise kill them. Mutation is an example of it. Bacteria can have spontaneous mutations in their DNA leading to changes in specific genes. Some of these mutations might confer resistance to certain antibiotics. When bacteria replicate, these mutations can be inherited by their offspring. But when bacteria acquire these resistance genes from mutation, they can pass them on their offspring during reproduction. This inheritance of resistance genes allows subsequent generations of bacteria to be equipped with the means to resist the same antibiotics. The concern with this inheritance is that over time, as more bacteria develop and pass on antibiotic resistant genes, there is an increased likelihood of antibiotics resistant strains become more prevalent in a population. This poses a significant challenge in healthcare as these resistant bacteria can cause infections that are challenging to treat with common antibiotics, leading to increased morbidity and mortality rates. For the second point, the similarities and differences among individuals stem from the process of inheritance and reproduction, particularly through asexual and sexual reproduction, which significantly impact the diversity and commonality among organisms. Asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction involves a single organism producing genetically identical offsprings. This process doesn't involve the fusion of gametes, sex cells. Bacteria, some plants, and certain simple organisms reproduce asexually. In asexual reproduction, genetic information is passed from one parent to the offspring without the mixing of genetic material from different individuals. As there is no genetic recombination, offsprings are essentially clones of the parent organism. In any genetic variations that arise are due to mutations. Now with the sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves the fusion of gametes, sperm and egg in animals, from two different individuals resulting in genetically diverse offsprings. Genetically diversity arises from the mixing of genetic material through process like meiosis. In this case is cell division that reproduces gametes, and fertilizations, where the genetic material from the two parents combines, so the offsprings inherit a combination of genes from both parents. This gene shuffling and recombination lead to a vast genetic variability among individuals.
Now we are going to start with the reasons for variation between organisms of the same and different species. The remarkable diversity and similarities among organisms, both within and between species, can be attributed to the interplay of genes, inheritance, and the mechanisms of variation, such as genetic recombination or mutations. These factors contribute to the spectrum of similarities and differences observed in the natural world. Genetic diversity, how I say before, the mutation is like the random change in the DNA sequence that can occur during replication or due to external factors like the radiation. These mutations are a primary source of genetic variation and can lead to difference in traits among individuals within the species or between different species. Inheritance and gene expression can be organisms inherit genetic material from their parents. Similarities arise from the passing down of fundamental genetic information, but difference emerge due to the combination of genes inherited from different parents. Natural selection and adaptation can be other, and like the differential survival and reproduction. Organisms with variation that offer advantages in their environment are more likely to survive and reproduce over time. These advantages traits become more prevalent within a population, leading to adaptations and the development of difference between population and species. Alike within a species can be that we share like commonalities because of the inheritance of fundamental genetic information from our parents within the same species. Common set of genes are inherited, leading to shared characteristics and traits. Different within a species can be like, however, a difference can be emerged due to the genetic diversity arising from mutations and genetic recombination during sexual reproduction. This results in the vast array of individual differences within a species. The fourth is the adaptation of species to environmental conditions. That is the other part. Inherited genetic traits can be like many traits that allow organisms to adapt to their environment are encoded in their genes and inherited from their parents. For example, traits related to camouflage, temperature tolerance, or resistance to certain diseases can be passed through the many generations. Also can be the genetic adaptation. When individuals within a population possess genetic variations that are better suited to the prevailing environmental conditions, they are more likely to survive, and reproduce, passing disadvantageous traits to their offspring over successive generations. This process leads to the gradual adaptation of a species to its environment. Also, the environmental is a important factor in this role in shaping which traits are advantageous. Factors such as climate, food availability, predators, and disease all contribute to the selective pressure that drive the evolution and the adaptation of species. By combining the principles of genetic and inheritance with the process of adaptation to environmental conditions, it can be observed the dual forces of similarities and difference among organisms. Genetic variation within a species and the selective pressures from the environment shape the gradual change and adaptations contribute to the incredible diversity that are in Earth. Why are we so alike and so different with this? Like the genetic similarities within species that organisms share more commonalities due to the inheriting fundamental genetic information from their parents. Individuals inherit several genes that are large similar within a species, leading to shared characteristics and traits. Genetic diversity within a species, despite the similarity differences, arise to genetic diversity and genetic recombination or mutation during reproduction result in a unique combination of genetic material in offspring, contributing to the array of individual differences within a species.